friend.
Hello, my friend. How are you?
Thanks for having me back. I'm very well, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. I'm still recovering from seeing The Matrix. What a film. Good choice.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I've tried to go for something a little bit different today, but before we talk about that, cheers. This is not a margarita, as you can probably tell.
Let's do a proper clink.
Oh, yeah. I've upped the game as well, because you upped the game last time. Have you seen that?
Oh, crystal glasses.
Like yours.
Oh, right. Sorry, I've been so busy setting the camera up and stuff, I haven't been taking in any detail. So let me see if I can guess the today's cocktail.
Oh, yes, okay. Mm-hmm.
Is it a daiquiri?
No. Give you 3 guesses.
Sex on the beach?
No. Don't know how to answer that.
Tell me.
I like a pina colada.
Of course it is. Duh.
Having walks in the rain.
Da, da, da,
That's
da.
a really bad song, you know, if you listen to it properly.
No, not really.
So it's about a guy and his wife who have fallen out of love.
Yeah. this
So the guy goes on like this is how old the song is. He has to go into like newspaper ads and put places an ad saying, I like pina coladas and I like walking in the dunes and having sex in the rain and stuff. And then he agrees to have a date with a woman behind his wife's back, goes to the bar, and it's his wife that's actually answered the ad. And he's like, and they're both laughing. They both have a laugh about it. Oh, I didn't know you liked all that stuff.
I did.
Last year, just tried to cheat on me.
Yeah, that
and
rings.
you have. You
that
both
rings
cheated
a
on each
bell.
other.
What
Shocking.
about? There's that song about you're too young, girl. You're just too young. Do you recognise it?
Girl, yes, I know that song. Oh, I've just realised what you're saying.
He doesn't literally mean.
No.
He means like.
You are too young, girl.
Mean literally like he's got these. Anyway, let's
move on.
Yeah.
Quick, I'm going to swig a pina colada now. That got deep very, very quickly.
Hello, everyone. Anyway, welcome back.
Yes, I'll get it right this time. Man caves and margaritas.
And pina coladas.
And pina coladas.
And we're back in Gavin's man cave this time.
Yes, my turn this time round. So that's been nice. I haven't had to drive anywhere, which is not that I'm bothered, to be fair. But yeah, I loved yours though.
It is nice to go between the two.
I feel insecure now though, because your screen's like 152 inches and mine's 65.
You won't say that in the winter. You'll be like, no, let's keep going back to mine, dwyz, because I ain't got any heating in mine.
Right. Well, look, let's have a little think then about a clue that I can give you. I don't want to give too much away because I genuinely don't know if you've seen the film choice for today. I've never heard you talk about it, which leads me to think you might or you might not, possibly. I don't know. So I've tried to do something different to what we've watched so far. So I've steered clear of sci-fi, and I've steered clear of like Tarantino-esque type sort of stuff. And in the end, after racking my brains, I went back in time a bit. Okay, so this is a film from 1982. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Not sci-fi.
Not sci-fi. Some people, when they say war films, talk about it as a war film, although to be fair you wouldn't associate it with a war film, but it has war connections. It's another clue. And the third clue is he was on the verge of being, I say on the verge, he was already famous at this stage.
Who?
The actor that's in it, and it's Sylvester Stallone. There you go, those are all your clues.
Alright. So
and the film went on to...
So it's not Rambo then? Because it's not a war film.
Well, I was just about to say it went on to spawn, forget this right now, 1, 2, 3, 5 sequels. So
is one of them Rambo 5?
Yes, actually it is. So which one have I chosen then if it's 1982? Because to be fair, I only really like the last, the very, not the penultimate one they did, that's just called Rambo, where he's an old man in Thailand. I like that one. I think that's fun, and it's a bit gruesome and stuff, but it's good. The other ones where he's completely muscled up and he's taken on the whole Afghan army and stuff, it's a bit fun, but a bit too much for me.
Right.
So which one have I chosen, do you reckon then?
Out of the 5?
Yeah.
5.
You think I've chosen?
No. Hold on.
1982. Remember?
Yeah, but bring it back. 3.
No.
4.
I'll stop you there.
2.
No, 1. So I've chosen First Blood. The very first.
First one.
So the very first one where you actually get to meet John Rambo.
Right.
So yeah. So the reason I've chose it personally is because I've always really liked this film, and I just thought it was a bit different. Again, I'm not sure if you've seen it or how long ago you've seen it. If you have seen it.
I think I've seen like 2 or 3 of them, but to be honest, they all just completely went over my head.
See, this is the thing with First Blood, and we'll talk about this more after we've watched it, see what you think. Most people forget First Blood, the very first one, because they just think of John Rambo as this character from those other films.
Right.
And he becomes a bit cartoonish in those, right?
Yeah, right.
In First Blood, it's a proper thriller. And you've got Brian Dennehy, who plays the local town sheriff. And it's from a book that... It wasn't a book of a film, it was the film of a book. And it was a book written by a guy called David Morell, and I really, really love the book. So I've got the book, and I've read that a few times. And the book in places is even harder than the film at certain points. But the book, it's an incredible read, and the way they did the filming was also really, really, really true to form, you know? Apart from a few alterations, but we'll talk about that later.
Have you read the book then, have you?
Yeah, I must have read the book like about 3, 4 times now.
All right. I've got no expectations. Like, I'm not elated. I'm not sad. I'm completely nonplussed by the choice.
Good.
It would have been like, I'd never ever have been able to guess that you would ever choose something like Rambo as one of the films to watch, which is one of the whole points of this whole thing, isn't it?
Yes.
We're very different people, and we've got very different kind of...
Well, introducing a pal to a film that you're not sure if they've seen or not is... I totally think that everyone should have an opinion over a film that they see. Genuinely shouldn't be frightened to say what their opinion is. And we've already said before, films, what one man's wine is another man's water. So even if you watch this and you don't like it, I'll still be really interested to see what you think. So there's no problem with that at all. We know that it's you know, everything's safe in this room.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
One thing I want to avoid on this podcast is like me and you just going, oh my God, what about the acting? Isn't it amazing? What about the soundtrack? Isn't it amazing? If we're just watching a film and completely praising everything about it every time we do one of these, then it's going to be a bit like...
Well, at some point we're going to find something, surely, where we've only done 2 so far. This is only the 3rd, fair enough. But there's going to be a point where one of us is going to pick a guilty pleasure or a film that we absolutely adore, and then the other one of us is going to watch it and go...
To be honest, I'm kind of expecting not to be a big fan, but...
Who knows? Eh? Who knows?
Who knows?
There'll be plenty to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, okay, so cheers to John Rambo.
All right, nice one. First Blood.
First Blood.
After the film, we'll be back.
Chin chin, old chap. And there we are, sir. First Blood. Adrian! That's right, Rambo.
That is Rambo.
Okay, it's Rocky, isn't it? Well, okay. So I'm a little bit nervous, actually.
Is there sugar in that?
Oh, no, I didn't sugar that. No.
Oh, God. You didn't sugar the first one, did you?
I didn't, did I?
That's why I had to eat about 8 biscuits.
Oh.
What are they?
Ice gems.
Let's get some sugar in the bad boy.
How many biscuits have you eaten during that film?
About 8.
I ain't got no sugar. I just thought I don't have any in the house.
Oh.
You're just going to have to suck
What did you give me last time?
Icing sugar.
Oh.
Right. So
Good start.
Great start. Okay, so what did you think?
Oh, you know something? I really liked it. I hadn't seen it before.
Really? First time?
Yeah, first time. I assumed I had, but all the ones I've seen are, you know, like in Afghanistan and stuff, like you say. I didn't know it came from such humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. It's a really nicely tight, self-contained little story.
Whistles along.
Yeah, I know the sequels were popular, but I mean, looking at that, I didn't really need it. You know, it's just a money thing.
Well, I'll tell you something very, very interesting with you saying that, actually. I'll tell you now. While we're on topic, then in the book, when David Morell wrote the book, he didn't write it that Rambo survives. So basically, in the book, Weasel, I call him Weasel because he's a bit weaselly, isn't he? Teasel, the sheriff, Will Teasel, he does actually kill him.
Yeah, does he?
But right at the very end, he takes a bullet. And Troutman still goes in and blah, blah, blah. But he dies. And they actually shot that version of the ending as well. And you can view it on YouTube as well. It's accessible to view because it was properly shot and everything. But they decided to change the ending and shoot the version that we've just seen with Rambo surviving. I guess, obviously, in mind of the fact that if it was successful, maybe they could run with the character into more films.
Right.
And consequently, it was successful, and hence we then got Rambo 2, Rambo 3, Rambo 4, Rambo... And the character, for me, I mean, they're fun films, but they're not... I mean... The character, John Rambo, is completely watered down and made into a cartoon. He takes on the whole Afghan army in one, and the Russians and all sorts in one. But,
I mean, I wasn't a fan of any of the ones I saw. I'm a fan of this one, though. But yeah, you're right. In the sequels, whatever, he's like, got this old bag of steroids out, hasn't he?
Oh, flipping heck.
In that, you can just see he's goes to the gym a lot. You know what I mean? It's like he looks like a soldier. He looks strong and muscular, but not. There was that whole thing in the 80s, wasn't there, with.
Well, it was him versus Schwarzenegger, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, going into like about 85 onwards, it was just one film after another. Which again, I'm not saying I didn't like, but they were different sort of films, weren't they? It was all about the body count and how much more outrageous you can make
how big a gun you can carry with one arm.
So whereas that one, First Blood, is not that sort of film.
It's a good film. It's I can see that it would have been a good book. It's a simple story, isn't it, about a Vietnam vet who's got PTSD and is lost.
Yeah, sad, really.
Yeah, it's quite sad. He doesn't understand what he's going through until the end when he has that breakdown. It's funny because he doesn't say a word for the whole film, really. There's the way he's looking for his friend at the beginning, then at the end, but in between that, it's
just his own actions and body actions and stuff.
Yeah, he's just a completely lost soul, isn't he?
Yeah, very much. I think Brian Dennehy is brilliant as the sheriff because you just right from the word go. Well, no, not necessarily the word go. Right from the minute he picks him up in the car. You just don't like his character at all, do you? The fact that he's trying to be the best sheriff he can for his town by driving this guy through the town and letting him, bypass the town. But the way he handles the whole situation is really, really bad. And in a lot of respects, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't know enough about it because I wasn't there. Thank God I wasn't in the Vietnam War either, but from all accounts what you hear is that when they did come back, a lot of America just didn't, because they didn't see that they won the war, did they? They lost the Vietnam War. And when the vets came back, they weren't really very well regarded, were they? They certainly weren't looked after by the country.
They were shunned.
And that's a really good way of showing that.
Yeah.
How he's treated. And I guess that's why he just pushed back at the end.
I think it's an interesting film to watch as like a Brit, because we don't know what it was like to be at war with Vietnam or to lose the war and to have these vets come back, but also you got the whole allegory with the Wild Wild West, like these the location that it's in, the town or whatever. It's like all the cops wear like cowboy hats. And it's very like. When the cop stops him and tries to shoo him out of town, it's very like the Wild West, isn't it? Like go away, stranger. You know.
Yeah. Good way of looking at it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, an outsider.
Yeah, outsider.
We don't want an outsider in our town.
There's so much of the film is quite alien to us, culture-wise. Yeah, and the location is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know where they shot. I mean, I'm guessing that was by the Rocky. That's got to be by the Rockies.
I would assume
Colorado or somewhere like that. I should think.
You'd
but yeah,
assume so.
really, really. I mean, I love seeing those old American towns set amongst the mountains and stuff, and they are literally just on one road. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And
there's still places like that in America.
Oh gosh,
now.
Absolutely, yeah. I went on.
Oh, I forgot you've been to America.
Yeah, well, only the one time, but I was very lucky to go with my sister Kaz and go meet her out on one of these dude ranch holidays in Colorado.
Right.
And the town down from where the ranch was, which we drove into one night just to get some liquor. No, actually, I don't think it was going to chocolate. Actually, I think to get some chocolate. Was just like that, just like one street with shops, restaurants, and stalls.
Gun store. Don't forget the very well stocked gun store.
Handy for Rambo.
Right near the police station.
Right next to the police station. Best place to have it. Really handy. Not next to the toy shop. Or the nursery.
Next to the school.
Yeah, next to the school.
Sorry, Americans.
School, gun shop, nursery. Man, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. How? Because when I look at First Blood, it always seems to me like it's a film from the 70s.
Yeah, it does.
Not the early 80s.
I thought that. I think it's quite low budget, so. The stock of film it's made on and the kind of equipment they had, the lighting and stuff, and the camera moves and things is very reminiscent of late 70s, kind of like Starsky and Hutch TV kind of stuff as well.
TV
Beverly
movie.
Hills Cops kind
TV
of like
movie
TV movie
in some
vibe.
places, definitely.
And I really like that. Like give me any movie, right, where there's the first 30 seconds of the movie is just a guy walking towards camera in one shot. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yes. Yeah. The editing was amazing.
Yeah, great editing. My favourite shot, and I heard you make a noise actually, so I'm hoping you'll be able to find the still of this. My favourite shot cinematically in that film, and there's some great shots in it as well, like when he's on the cliff wall and all that sort of stuff. Really great. I mean, some of the stunt work in that film is incredible. The helicopter in that ravine, the car chasing, all that sort of stuff. Great. But my favourite shot is there's a moment near the end where he's in the town. And he's got the gun, the M60 I think it is, and he's round the back. You can't see him. He's round the back of the building, but the light of the building's on a wall, and you just see his shadow.
Oh, his shadow, yeah.
On the wall, and I was thinking, they obviously really thought about that. Someone said what would be really great, whether it was the cinematographer or whoever, and it's stuff like that you just think,
it's because they're allowing space for the shots to breathe, aren't they? It's like you were talking about the car chases, like how they're so good, and it's because the camera will literally follow the car, and then it will skid. The car will skid, and then zoom off down the road, all in one
just
shot.
One take.
Yes, one take.
Yeah, not like
with one camera.
Cut.
Yeah, they haven't. Sometimes they'll do stuff in one take nowadays, but they'll have 5 cameras on the go.
Yeah, so you can really chop and change.
Yeah, but when it's lacking in additional cuts that aren't needed, it's very easy to understand exactly what's going on.
Very true.
Sometimes when you see car chases and action sequences now, you're like, I don't really know what's going on, but it's like exciting. Or is it? I don't know.
Well, it's a way of putting you that. I think they used to say that those quick and they don't do it quite so much now, but there was a time, wasn't there, in the 2000s where, like, geez, some of the car chases or action stuff would be that heavily cut you literally couldn't tell.
Oh, they still do it now. They really do.
And I find it so frustrating. And I guess it's because of what you're saying. I'm used to having been brought up with films where, they didn't use those quick cuts. They did linger more, so you could follow what was happening. So yeah, I hear what you're saying there, man.
And you can like the car chases in this. You could, when I was thinking, wow, that stunt driver is amazing. He's so skillful.
And it's only controlling that car and all that. Yeah.
And at high speed, it didn't look like they'd cranked it up either to create the impression of speed. Because you could see the inertia of the car and stuff. And like you can't get that appreciation of the craft with all the fast cuts you get nowadays.
It's like it's like again. I know we've talked about this before, but CGI done well, great, enhances a film superb. But you still can't beat seeing an actual proper stunt.
You can't.
Can you?
No, you can't.
Knowing that is an actual guy,
and
that guy's actually jumped off that cliff wall and tumbled up to probably a crash mat or whatever. But someone's done that for the sake of that film and for us, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
It does. You forget that sometimes it's easy to get swept up with today's modern technology, you know, all these like super high definition cameras that can pick out every pore in the skin and stuff. When you start watching something like First Blood, which is probably quite low budget, and the first impression of it could quite easily be, oh this is like not as I'm trying to think of the right words, you know. So say if you're looking at an image that you can't appreciate as much as some of the imagery you see today, just in pure technical terms.
Yeah.
As soon as you start seeing the actual craft they're putting into it, like the proper camera moves, the proper skills with the fighting and everything like that, it takes away from any limitations.
Well,
and reminds you of like how to make a proper film. It's a proper film.
Yeah, very much so. There are even a couple of moments where the camera guy's slightly out of focus.
Yeah.
But you can forgive that, can't you?
Yeah.
Because of like the way you say it's all cut together and the way the story's told and things like that. Whereas in nowadays you wouldn't have, if it was out of focus, that would be it, vetoed. You'd be, moving on or whatever, or the scene would be cut. However, but they've kept a few of those things in, and I like that. I like it.
I mean, back in them days, they didn't have like 65-inch high definition TVs. Do you know what I mean? To think the critical focus on that is out. Do you know what I mean?
Full shot film as well.
Yeah.
And did you notice too that although it said it was in Dolby, it wasn't Dolby Surround.
Yeah, I did
notice. It
was
Dolby Stereo.
Right.
I guess, and that was how it would have been shot, and I guess in the theatres in '82, Dolby Stereo, but they would have had the stereo coming out of.
Right.
So it wouldn't have been surround.
Because even the FBI warning, that was in surround sound.
Yeah, that was in surround.
As the film started, like, well, the speaker's gone.
That's right. Yeah, the FBI, everything. So that when I had a little look on the box, just to make sure it was all set up for Dolby and everything, and then I realised it's in Dolby Stereo. And again, that shows the age, really, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah.
With good music though, right?
Yeah, it was very reactive to what was actually going on the screen.
Jerry
Goldsmith. Yeah. What else is?
Oh, he's done loads.
Yeah, I recognise the name. I can't place him, but
he's done loads. I'll tell you something funny though, and again, I don't know this because I'm clever. I only know this because today, just because I wanted to find out the year of the film, because I couldn't remember. I knew it was 80s, but I just couldn't remember. It was like 80, 81, 82, and I thought, I'll have a quick look. And in looking at it, I looked at the director's name, and I thought, do you know what? I don't know Ted Kotcheff.
Right.
I don't know of other films he's done other than First Blood, right?
Right.
He did the comedy Weekend at Bernie's. Do you remember that one with the dead guy, and they got to make out he's still alive, so they're sitting in the middle and they're waving his arms and making that. What a total completely different, and his whole filmography, apart from before First Blood, he did a horror, an Australian horror thriller. But after First Blood, there's nothing that you would ever associate him with that film that we.
So he didn't
watched.
do Rambo 2?
No, did do any of that sort of
That's
stuff.
surprising. Yeah, because
goes on to a really well, it's a cult film for a lot of people, but goes on to do an American comedy about a dead man that's supposed to be alive, like a frat boy type comedy, Weekend at Bernie's, and then later in his filmography, he was doing things like the Red Shoe Diaries and stuff like that. It says, and they were like, I mean, soft core type films.
You take what you can get, don't you?
Well, yeah, you do, definitely. Just a shame though, isn't it? Because when you see he's done that, you think that guy's going to go on to do some cracking stuff. You think?
Yeah, there's definitely some craft on display there. It's really good. Hey, what about how short it is? Do you know what the runtime was? 90 minutes.
I mean, it's like that.
Beautiful.
Now,
Absolutely beautiful.
Tight, right?
If it had gone on any longer, I think I would have been like, yeah, okay, it's a bit of a one-trick pony now, but it ended on exactly the right point, I thought.
Yeah. Nice. And a nice way to do it. Just play the credits up as he's walking out with it.
Yeah, you get that with those old films. They just freeze the screen, don't they? And then scroll the credits up.
In a way, because we're used to longer films, it's kind of surprising when it does end. It's like, oh, right.
Yeah.
But then you think, yeah, okay, hour and a half. Pretty standard stuff, for a long time, wasn't it? And
time.
it does. I mean, it does rattle. I mean, it certainly rattle. I mean, it's a manhunt at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, well, as soon as he leaves that police station,
It's just one long chase
one long
sequence.
chase. Yeah, yeah. Other things in the book that are different is like it's a bit more brutal when he's in the woods getting hunted down. He, if I can remember this correctly, he shoots and injures one of the dogs while they're up on the cliff, and the dog handler goes to get his injured dog, and then he shoots the dog handler. So he uses the dog as bait, and actually kills the dog handler as well as the guy in the helicopter, and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
But just that stuff in the woods, just
There's another thing. It's weird. Another thing that strikes me being weird as a Brit, watching that kind of you know, as a British filmmaker, you couldn't make that kind of film because like basically you've got all these cops that are like. They're all nuts, aren't they?
Oh, they're bonkers, aren't they?
They're absolutely crazy. You're just policemen. What the fuck's up with you? Put your guns down and chill out and go home. They're like all arming up. Suddenly they've all got like machine guns and stuff. Like from a little town.
Do you know what? Let's open a cupboard. We'd do that. We'd open a cupboard. There'd be a truncheon, a taser, and some pepper spray. Yeah, that would be it.
And there'd be about 4 cops in the whole town.
Submachine guns and shotgun and everything you can name in this one cupboard. Yeah, you're right there. That would never happen in this country.
It's such a work of, I wonder what, like, when we see it, it's such a work of fiction because it's so far removed from our culture.
From what we used to, yeah.
And like, as an American, I'd love an American to tell us in the comments what, you know, does it seem like a normal, like folklore type story for Americans? You know,
God!
Like, what's our equivalent of something like that? You know,
what's our equivalent of First Blood?
What could we even do in this country? You know,
our equivalent, the closest we've got is Hot Fuzz.
That's a bloody good film. That. I love Hot Fuzz.
Oh God! Yeah, okay. No, there is no equivalent.
There isn't, is there?
No,
it's bizarre.
There is no equivalent. You're right. Do you,
what about the? Sorry, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, like, did you like all the stuff in the mines? Because, like, I can't see how they shot that unless they were actually a proper. That's got to be a proper location. That's not in a studio, sure.
And also, like, how did they light it? Because, like, he had this big like torch on, but back in those days, the technology to film in low light didn't really exist.
It wasn't grainy either, was it?
No.
It wasn't really grainy or anything. No. So they were doing something, weren't they?
But how in such a small, tiny space? I don't.
Do you think that was set on like? I mean, that's got to be. It'd be interesting to find out actually. I don't know where from, but
it could have been a set, but it didn't
look
look like
it was a set. Or?
It didn't look like they had the budget for a set that good. Yeah, no. Interesting.
I thought that was pretty much all of that was on location. I think all of it. I mean, they might have. I mean, obviously the town might have been prefabbed up and stuff like that. Maybe the way he was destroying it. And stuff,
if they can go and blow everything up.
Yeah. But the mines scene, I was cracking. I thought that was definitely that.
It's really good.
The whole idea of being down there, and you're going deeper and deeper into mine with that torch, knowing that if that torch goes out...
Oh, and the bit with the rats. That was horrible.
Yeah, in the that was another thing that's different. In the book, it's bats, not rats. Yeah. Bats, not rats. Boo! What's that? Bros and hoes. Boo!
I suppose it's a bit easier to train a bunch of rats than like, come on, bats, get it together.
You and you on his back as he comes through, right?
You'd have to talk to him sonically.
No rats were harmed during the making of this film.
So the actor who you seem very aware of, I did recognise him, the sheriff.
Oh, Brian Dennehy. Yes, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, the late great Brian Dennehy, dead now. Yeah, he's someone who's got a good presence on screen presence, I think.
He seemed to be reacting to the moment very naturally.
The bit where after he's pinned him up against the tree,
but he
breaks down.
That was
well,
good. Yeah, that was good.
The horror when he's on the roof and he's literally the whole of the police station's been shot up. He's like, I wish I'd let him just have a cob or something. So a sandwich. Let's say sandwich. Some people are not a cob is. I wish I'd just let him have like some porridge.
Is it too late to offer you a bacon butter?
Could you maybe, yeah, could I throw out some chips?
The whole story is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, I'm not in a critical way. I'm not criticising it, but like, yeah, there's just this loner walks through town, and a cop's like, "What are you doing?" And by the end of it, he's blowing up the whole town.
Yeah. All because of one decision
Yeah.
he made to drive him out of town.
Yeah.
And not let him just walk through. Because he was going to walk through the town. He wasn't staying.
No, he just got his directions wrong, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, well,
He
yeah.
said he was going to Portland.
And he just found out that the very last group of his team was now dead. So he was the last one. He's just walking. He's going to Portland, he said, wasn't he? And he just wants to walk out of the town, but they say everyone knows.
Yeah, the acting at the start when he meets the wife and he's like fumbling around, like really awkward, like, oh yeah, I've got a picture somewhere. And it's so naturally awkward and kind of like doesn't really, his social skills are a bit off, and it was really good. And the way it laid up, like he said all the names, and that so that like later when the Colonel comes on the scene and down the phone, and it's like, wow, that setup was awesome,
nice, right?
Really good. Really.
Well, do you know what? Stallone's done some crack. He's a very clever bloke, actually, Sylvester Stallone. I mean, I know he's got pigeonholed for his action films that we've already talked about, but have you seen some of the serious stuff he's done? Like, say, so for example, like, say, Copland. Have you seen him in Copland? So in Copland, which is like is a thriller, and he plays the sheriff of this town, and he had to pile on loads of weight. So he did. He actually. He's a bit like me. He gets a bit tubby. Thanks for not saying anything.
What, you've lost a stone?
That's better. Anyway, so so he piled on loads of weight for Copland, and he's acting on screen with legends like Harvey Keitel and there's some really big names in Copland as well. And do you know what? He stands out in that film really, really good. So if you ever want to see him proper acting,
right,
not just action acting, but acting, you watch that. Or Rocky. I mean, the first Rocky is another great example of how. I mean, he was Oscar nominated for Rocky.
Was he?
Yeah, he didn't win it, but he was Oscar nominated as best actor. For
I've
Rocky.
never. Yeah, I don't know anything about him, to be honest. I think you're. See, your kind of like influences in your journey through watching films and appreciating them is a little bit different than mine. So like you've got a lot of films from that like 80s and early 90s and stuff where that it all completely bypassed me. I think I was more into the music scene and stuff then, and then I got into the film scene like. But don't get me wrong, there was classics I loved from like.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think you've got an insight into some of these older films and older actors and stuff that I don't have. So it's really a nice dynamic for you to
hear
be
that.
like. I mean, when you said we're watching Rambo, I was like, really?
Yeah, I could tell at the start you went, but I still wasn't sure if you'd seen First Blood or not. So I'm really happy that that's one that you've been introduced to. Let's say, because hopefully that will change the way you think about his character and where his roots were, where it came from.
Yeah.
And like originally, of course, it came from the writer David Morell. I mean, David Morell's book is literally is the Manhunt, and it's you can't put it down, and you know, these days you tend to find there's lots of films are. You get a lot of books that are written as film tie-ins, or you get a lot of books written based on the script of a film. But back then you were getting more and more films that were being produced from a book.
Right.
I know that still happens now, you know, like The Beach and things like that.
Yeah.
But back in those sort of days, a lot of the time, like Marathon Man with Dustin Hoffman, and from a brilliant book. You know, there's loads and loads of films that would come from books already pre-written rather than the other way round. You know. So yeah, if you like to read and you haven't read it yet, I would seriously recommend get David Morell's book First Blood. Give it a read. You will not be disappointed. Could you have sewn your arm up?
That looked real. I couldn't even tell.
Amazing, wasn't it?
I couldn't see the prosthetics.
No, and it wasn't just coming out of one bit. It was like just coming down from the whole cut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
Wow.
Really well done.
We'll have to
Really
ask our
nice.
friend, our friendly,
Janie baby.
yeah, prosthetic makeup artist,
Janie baby.
Jane
Hyman.
Yeah.
Top lady. Shame she's Welsh.
Oh God!
No, she knows I'm only joking. I love Jane. You love Jane.
Poor Jane.
She's awesome. Have you seen her roller skating skills? No, going off topic, but they are amazing.
Right. Anything else to say about this film? I want to say there's a certain aesthetic in filmmaking that I really, really like that this had, which is just your backdrop and your location is the main character along with the actors. That's a film that's all in one location. Right, they go into the woods and the caves and stuff, but it's beautiful, and the kind of misty atmosphere, and was it snowing at one point? And
there's snow on the ground at one stage, because they're quite high up, aren't they?
Yeah. This, even though it's an action film, it's quite slow paced in a way as well. You know what I mean? It let you soak up the atmosphere and the location, and
the setup's nicely done. That whole setup. You know, so it's a good, it's probably about half an hour of setup before it all really proper starts to kick off.
No.
And then the whole hour after the setup is then the manhunt, isn't it, pretty much?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, beautiful location and stuff.
Yeah, really is.
Yeah, nice. Anything else that you can think of on that?
They say the Colonel.
Colonel Troutman.
Right. Is he an English actor?
He's actually dead now too, sad to say. There's a lot of people that have...
This is a 40-year-old film, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Why am I not dead? Actually, I was 12 when I saw that. Oh. I don't know. He sounds American, doesn't he, in that? Or did he sound British to you?
I thought I picked out a little bit of
a British accent, kind of.
And
I'm sure he's American, you know.
Yeah.
The actor, he's been in lots of other things as well.
Maybe I've seen him play an Englishman in another film. And
good, cool character though. So the interesting thing with him is
he in the sequels then?
Oh yeah, he pops up. So basically, Rambo 2, it starts with him going to a prison, a working prison, where Rambo is cutting rocks. Yeah, do you remember that scene at all? That's how it starts anyway, and he says to him, "Look, we've got some men that have gone missing."
You see, I thought that was Rambo 1.
I
didn't even. Right. I don't think I even realised.
Well, now you know why he's in the prison. That's why it starts with him breaking those rocks, because he's ended up there because of what's happened in this film.
I thought that's what we were watching today.
I'm so pleased that you got to see something different.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of Sylvester Stallone, then, while we're talking about Sly Stallone, then. What would you say, I know you hate it when I do this, what would you say are your top Stallone picks?
You know, so I don't know anything about the man. I can't really...
Have a think. Name Sly Stallone film.
I can't really recall seeing him in that many films because I've never really been into, like, those kind of action films that he's famous for.
If I give you titles, you'll know him, though.
Well, obviously I know Rocky.
Yeah, the whole Rocky saga.
Yeah. Which Rocky won. Yeah. Kudos. That was good. And they're all good, aren't they? Ivan Drago and Mr. T, was it?
Mr. T.
Yeah.
Rocky 3. Yeah. Eye of the Tiger.
So, I'd say they're my favourites. But I'm struggling to even.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was all right, yeah.
Oh, some of the ones he did in the 80s. I mean, Cobra. Did you ever see him in Cobra?
No.
Oh, yeah, okay, one day I'll show you that. That's like 80s, got an 80s stamp running all the way through it, literally. Right. Well, if I was going to recommend one to you, then I would say for you, personally, I'd say watch him in Copland. There you go. That's my rec.
Yeah, okay.
Well, are we all Stalloned out?
Yeah. Do we do our
a sign out?
No, you're out of 10, don't you?
Oh, out of 10. Are we going to do it today?
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
we did last
that'd be
time.
Great.
So you give it out of 10, and I just sum it up. Don't I?
Okay then. Well, First Blood for me out of 10. Rewatching it again, loved it. Every time I've watched it, I loved it. Obviously, it's my choice. I'm going to go for a solid 9 out of 10 for that one. Yeah, 9 out of 10, solid.
No, okay.
There you go.
I'd say it's a good example of how to make an engaging action film with a bit of hidden depth in there. That hits some good beats, solid beats all the way through. It's not too long. I wouldn't call it a classic, but I'd say if you're a fan of film, it's worth a watch.
Like that. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
That'll do for me. Give me some of that.
Give me a chink on the old,
All right,
old
then. You
tea.
left me hanging. I can't believe that.
All
On
right.
camera. Okay.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
See you next time.
See you next time. Man caves and margaritas.